Aloha, friends and neighbors. This is Rollin Frost, an astrologer living on the Kona coast, scratching out a living here. This is unusual for me because I'm working very early in the morning, and in Hawaii, early in the morning, the cold air comes down the mountain, and it carries a lot of pollen, exotic pollens. And so your lungs are stuffy and your nose is stuffy. And it doesn't clear up until... There's a lot of lung problems in Hawaii, but they're not due to fog. Fog is not going to hurt your lungs. It can help your lungs. No, this is due to pollen showers, exotic pollens. And they come down to your home from the mountains in the early morning hours. Cold air drops. Anyway, that's why I'm a little stuffy on this show. Number 1152. I'm going to cover the first week in January and your New Year's. And the happening that you're probably going to be most aware of is that Uranus is stationing. Yes, here it is. I always draw it in electric green. That's its colors. It stops and goes direct January 6th. And I'll be happy to see it go direct in the next month or so. Get off my case, because it's interrupted the flow of money to me. And I'm going broke. Having trouble paying my bills. So I'm happy to see this guy get out of Aries, which it will do in the next month or two. For you, what it tends to do is give you high wind and things that knock your power lines down. Sometimes it's a little quaky. And basically Uranus has the effect of isolating you so that you may learn to get to know your neighbor. I have a very nice neighbor who actually helped trim a tree around my electric line. I'm prepared so that, when the big tree waves, it's not going to hit my electric and my cable and interrupt my services. And he was good enough while he was doing his tree and yard to come over and do mine. So I'm a little bit prepared for this, and we'll see how prepared you are as this time goes on. So it peaks out on January 6th. Let's go around the sky mirror here and look at it day by day. And bear in mind there's kind of an interrupting influence here, yeah? Yes, Uranus has to do with electricity, for one thing. Anything that will interrupt your electricity. And it will tend to happen around January 6th, plus or minus a few days. I'm going to run the moon around our planetary pattern and check it out day by day. And here on Friday, the 28th, you can see the sun and Mars in square. So this week starts with a little impatience and anger early Friday morning, not getting much done Friday night. On Saturday, we can see what we have to do, but we get stopped kind of early because here's Jupiter. Aha, I see clear. And then Saturn happens right afterwards. Uh-oh, delays. But Saturday night, here's a sextile to Venus. There's pleasure and fun, some sexiness here. Now bear in mind, Venus is in its morning star phase, so she's not always real nice in her morning star phase. Little panicky about midnight, Saturday the 29th, coming into your New Year's, which is Sunday. Monday. On Sunday, we got Uranus. The moon is here, and it's in the last of Libra, and it opposes Uranus. And so here is a time when you could have some high winds, a little quaky stuff, things that might interrupt your power, your electrical lines. At the least, your internet will do weird things on Sunday, December 30th. The moon shifts from Libra into Scorpio about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon Sunday, and all the vibes change, and it becomes much more mellow instead of such an interruptive thing. And on Monday the moon's in Scorpio, and it's the 31st, and it starts with good plans for everybody, with a nice sextile to the sun, and then there's a nice sextile to Saturn. We're all organized. Then we're inspired. Oh boy, here's a trine to Neptune. This is almost a religious thing, huh? And then as you go into the New Year's celebration, here is a sextile to Pluto. We got power and control over these things. Now, I got something to say about this, that, you know, we're doing a magical ceremony, believe it or not, our New Year's celebrations, where everybody gets together and does, you know, the sing together. And I don't think any respectable Babylonian or Greek or Egyptian or Mayan would allow this haphazard sort of magical ceremony, because it's done without any thought and any planning by Uranus. Let's see, right now, let me just show you something. Okay, here's the chart of the New Year's celebration on the West Coast. And when you look at it, you know, anything that hits these four angles are important. And what do we got? Saturn. Saturn is right on the angle. This is in Los Angeles. What does that mean? Cold, snow, ice, ugh. And it's going to be like that basically on the West Coast and the mainland. Now when you look at Hawaii, it's a little different. In Hawaii, Saturn is off the angle here, the bottom, but we got Mars over here. Now I've set this chart for Poipu Beach on Kauai. That's where it's most prevalent, is the west side of Kauai. What's Mars? Mars can be fires, for one thing. So, you know, if you're doing a celebration over there on Kauai, you could be encouraging fires on the west side, like they are encouraging snow and ice on the West Coast. The haphazard magical ceremonies. Too bad. Needed the advice of a good astrologer, but our culture does not allow it. Okay, back to New Year's. There's the ceremony. Seems to go quite well. And in the morning of January 1st, the moon's going by Venus, and everybody seems satisfied, kind of sexy, and stay in bed late. January 1st with somebody you love. Yes. Mars is in sextile to Venus, so it's quite romantic, quite sexy. The first day of the year. Moon in Scorpio, huh? Is a sexy sign. So Tuesday is a pretty day, and be with somebody pretty. Wednesday the moon shifts into Sagittarius, and as you go into the latter part of Wednesday, it's going to hit Jupiter, the moon, and we tend to overdo it. Now this time there's a Neptune square. So when we overdo it, there's confusion and delusion. You might drink too much. You might get lost. You might, whenever you're overdoing it here, it's done in confusion. You know, you're going to eat too much. You're going to go too far. You're going to, a lot of that. So, you know, best thing to do is restrain yourself. Wednesday night, the 2nd of January, moon in Sag, a mutable fire sign. Thursday, it's still in Sag. And we're going to go into the Mercury zone here. So the kids are running around kind of happy. There's a lot of communication and transportation going on. Not too bad as you go through Thursday. On Friday the 4th, the morning we're still in Sagittarius. And then after breakfast, the moon shifts into Capricorn, a cardinal earth sign. And we say, oh, let's go do it. It's a go-getting kind of sign. And here's a nice trine to Uranus. This is a good time on Friday the 4th to go look around and see what problems the wind could bring to your property. Yes, trim the tree around the electrical line. Make sure you have batteries there. Did you pay the cable bill? So check it out Friday morning, early. And you'll feel a little overprotective because there's this Mars square in the middle of Friday. And good thing for getting physical stuff done. But that's about all. As you go through Friday, you get to Saturday, you're in a new moon zone. And this new moon is in Capricorn at about 15 degrees. And it sextiles Venus, so it signals the beginning of a month of kind of sweetness, a little giving up feeling too. And it sextiles Neptune. So there's a lot of falling in love vibes here after this new moon on Saturday the 5th. But look out, because on the 6th, here's Uranus stationing, stopping in the sky. Yes, and you'll notice on Sunday afternoon, here's the moon squaring Uranus. So this is when we're likely to have some real difficulties with electrical power. A feeling of aloneness comes up. You get isolated, you get to know your neighbor. So this is a freaky Sunday. Freaky things can happen here. Can't be too bad here, because early Monday morning on the 7th, we got a nice sextile to Mars and everybody's out doing stuff. But let's take a look at the astrocartography for this new moon here. There's a new moon on the 5th, so it'll have the flavor of Uranus and might tell us a little more about the locations where Uranus is going to kick up its heels and make you feel a little bit strange and different and isolated. You know, this night air I'm breathing right now makes breathing so difficult. My nose is running, my lungs are all stuffy. I think what I got to do is close off my bedroom in the evening and trap the air that comes off the ocean, so that mountain air that comes down the mountain in the early morning hours doesn't get into my room, and then maybe I can breathe air without so much pollen in it. Well, here's the astrocartography chart for the January 5th new moon. And on the 6th is when Uranus stops. So we can expect some action from Uranus. Interruptive action. There's 4 areas usually. And the first is Uranus here on the midheaven. Runs right up through North America, down through Mexico, close to their volcano. Could be a little quakey here. Could be some windstorms up here through the Midwest. There's another Uranus line that shows up, where are we? Oh, here's Hawaii. Hawaii, we just got a little Jupiter line, thunder and lightning, past the Hilo side of the Big Island. Yeah. Here's a Uranus line on the rising sign. And this one runs down through that north area of New Zealand where they do have quakes, a lot of quakes. So this is a quake zone right through here. And what is it? The Church city of New Zealand gets a lot of them, huh? Can't help it. There's let's see, another Uranus line is on the bottom of the chart. This is where you tend to have quakes, and you have disturbances in the home. It runs up through the tip of India here. More action. And finally, here's Uranus opposing the rising sign, where it's difficult. And this could be civil unrest. This could be a little quaky down in here. Let's see, what's it look like if we go right to the U.S.? Here we are. So here's the Uranus line running right up through the Midwest. And down here between Guadalajara and Mexico City, San Antonio, and right up through here. These are the plains, and it's all flat in here, so you can generate stuff like tornadoes and high winds. Yeah, could be difficulties here. At least it's not over here where all the homeless people are. But over here, we have the North Node on the rising sign. So the South Node's on the descendant. There's some people that need help in this area. And over here, we have Pluto on the descendant moving down across this coastline, which I don't like too much because of all the police action going on in this area. So, Midwest, high winds, that's what I would bet on. Okay, here's a brief reminder that your astrologer needs help. I have a lot of services I offer. Basically, I'm one of the few astrologers who can really do the future. And you can get the future as cheap as $45, $95, $125, $65, and even $200 for a life reading. Whoa! Funny little birds out in my yard calling in their young. Solar returns are for your birthday, and sometimes your birthday has a chart in it that you might not like. You want to move to another town for a couple days to have your birthday. Check with your astrologer. You know, I do those cheap, $25, $30, and can make your life better. It's the only time that you can change things is your solar return. Yes. The Hindus say, don't move, just stick it out where you are, accept your fate. I don't believe that. If you have a chance to change things for the better, like if you go from Hawaii and you got a bunch of squares and oppositions in your birthday chart, and you go to Vegas, well, they turn into trines and sextiles, and your whole year goes better, because the solar return affects the whole year. So these are important. I have done solar returns every year for my family and me, and I've sent my son Michael all over. He's been all over the U.S. and lots of different cities to try to keep him out of trouble, because I'm manipulating his solar return. The classic was when Aniki came along. Michael's solar return was on the 12th, and when I looked at it, it looked like a truck was coming through the wall of the house and get him. And so I had to do something. I didn't have enough money to move very far, but we got from Poipu over to Hilo and took a hotel room there. And then we watched Aniki go right over our house, over there on Ama'o Road, trashed both of my houses. Would have been a disaster to stay there, but we stepped aside because of my young son's solar return. And you can step aside from a lot of your troubles and difficulties and make things much better by manipulating this solar return. So it's important. call up your astrologer, okay? I actually better just use email, rollinfrost@yahoo.com, and check it out a month before your birthday and ask me to. I can just put it up on the computer and see what it looks like, and I can tell you real quick whether it's acceptable for you to stay there where you are, or if there's a truck coming through the wall to get you. Well, you might want to take a trip to Vegas or something like that to make it better. So I do a lot of services. Mostly I'm one of the very few astrologers that can really do the future. Most of them can't. They're phonies, believe it or not. I also have some computer programs. If you just want to get it yourself, I got a personality thing for $20, and I got a compatibility thing for $20, all computer done. Yes, it's amazing that a computer, with your birth data, can be as accurate as it is about who you are in this incarnation and about how compatible you are with other people. So, the other thing we can do is elections. I do a lot of that. Like surgeries are an important thing, and marriages and things. And here you're looking for a starting chart. You can't really do much about a surgery except when you leave the house. We do that for gambling charts. I do a lot of gambling charts too. When you leave your room and go out to gamble, that chart of when you leave the room makes the trip. Same way, if you're going to have some surgery, when you leave the house, that chart makes for a successful day or maybe not. So the when you leave the house charts are important, and they apply to a lot of different things. Important trips, important actions all over the joint. Okay? And these are relatively cheap. And so you can get at me at rollinfrost@yahoo.com and ask me about these things. My services are mostly just nuts and bolts. I don't do a lot of fancy personality stuff. If you want that, you can get the $20 computer thing. And finally, if you don't want any work, consider you want to keep this show going, put a little something in an envelope and send it to your astrologer. A donation really helps keep this show alive. I hope you took advantage of my work on meeting your mother, Mother Mary times, over the Christmas holidays. Hope it worked for you. You had some success. The remainder of the show, I'm going to treat you to some more rising sign studies. Remember, I offered you a 2-hour DVD that goes through all these movie stars and stuff, so you can learn rising signs. So here's a taste of it.
He has a little bit of a reputation for being a little slow and a little dull. Well, Tauruses are known to be enjoyable, musical, pleasure-loving people, okay? So I made a little list here of some Taurus rising folks that you can visualize. Notice the broad, flat forehead on these folks and a small little chin, kind of like the great bull, huh? You find Taurus rising people, they often pause and freeze. It's a fixed sign, so they're just periods when they don't move at all. They're ruled by Venus, indeed. So they are beautiful, very attractive. The hair is usually wavy. They're very loyal. Once they give love, that's it. They're very stubborn. Did I misspell that? Very determined. Extremely sensual. Oh boy. Practical, firm, composed, and calm. Yep. Taurus is a very gentle, calm sign. Okay, now here comes a list of people. You should pick the people you know and picture the body moving. Kind of forget the personality a little bit, okay? Gary Cooper, Orson Welles, Jackie Gleason, Wayne Newton. Kind of big bulls, huh? Lon Chaney, George Nader, Robert F. Kennedy, Richard Daley, Bobby Darin. These guys all have the wide forehead, small chin. F. Lee Bailey. Here's some ladies for you to look at. Liza Minnelli, Liza, is it? Mia Farrow, Suzanne Summers has the wide forehead, Pearl Bailey, Peggy Lee, Mae West. They can be very sensual. Vivian Leigh, very beautiful. Celeste Holm, Eva Peron, Sophie Tucker. Remember the big jewels she used to wear? You younger folks won't remember it. Brenda Vaccaro, Sarah Bernhardt. Let's take a look at some of these folks in the flesh and see how they look. Oh, here's our first subject, Orson Welles. Look at that forehead, see the broad face, quiet, calm, kind of loving, patient manner. And yet there's the bull, see? And you get a big old bull facing you. They're not aggressive, they don't lash out. There's just this staring confront and this large barrier in front of you, you know? That's the bull. Yep, Gary Cooper, one of my very favorite bulls. He has that kind of slightly slow, you know, feeling to him now and then, doesn't he? But man, he's hot. I mean, he's a classic bull. He's loving, patient, kind, calm. Hard to get him riled up, you know. But once he's riled up, man, look out for that bull. Usually got broad shoulders, big broad shoulders, strong neck, you know, very enduring, very tough, but yet quite loving and calm. You always see that big broad forehead and the smaller chin. They have small hands and feet. You know how Taurus the bull has little feet? Lots of times you'll see that. There's a halting, almost, maybe you're not thinking right. There's a pausing. The fixed signs don't move very much. And you can see him just stop and just look, like the bull just looks. You can't tell what the bull's looking at, you know, and what his reactions are, but he just looks. There's that big forehead. There's the bull. In a confront situation, yeah, kind of pretty much always get the same reaction. I don't know if you ever met a live bull or not. You remember Chrissy on Three's Company, Suzanne Summers, yeah? She'd oftentimes play that slightly dumbfounded Taurus. About half the Tauruses are exquisitely beautiful, perfect bodies, just incredible. They tend to get a little heavy as they get older because they're very sensuous, bit of a glutton. But you'll see Chrissy just stop moving, you know, and you'll see that. Well, one more Taurus rising for you. Yep, it's your host. There's your astrologer at age 16. See the broad forehead?
I can't do it justice. Each one of the rising signs has 10, 20 movie stars on it. So it's free. $2 handling charge, huh? Get it.